If my voice sounds kind of funny, it's because I have a sore throat. Anyway, uh, you know how the majority of feminists are women, and they talk about things like, "Oh, you got male privilege. You should shut up. You don't understand gender inequality because you're men and men are privileged." Well, if you're a woman, you spent your entire life as a woman. You were never once a boy in your entire life. You have absolutely zero perspective on the subject. You don't know what it's like to grow up as a boy in today's society. So shut up. Let me kind of explain to you what it's like to be a boy growing up in today's Western world, right? On the one hand, you have all the media that's trying to tell you what you're supposed to be as a man. Like when you grow up, you got to be big and strong, like Captain America, Thor, He-Man, GI Joe, all these other characters. You got to be a big, strong hero, so you can be able to fight to protect people and provide for other people. Hopefully a family someday, or join the military so you can protect your country, or become a fireman or a police officer and save people. But then on the other hand, you're being told, no, you have toxic masculinity. All that stuff that boys do, you're rowdy, you're dirty, you're disgusting, you're stupid, you're violent. You're getting all these conflicting messages when you're growing up as a boy. You don't know like what you're supposed to be. It's, I guess you could call it an identity crisis, for lack of a better term. You go to school and the overwhelming majority of your teachers are, leftists, right? So of course, at least a few of them are going to be feminists, and they're going to be drilling this into your head. It's like, oh, you have male privilege. You're responsible for the oppression of women everywhere. You know, you're a you're a rapist. You're a wife beater, and all that. So one of these days, you're drilling all this crap into a boy's head, and one of these days he's going to look at him in the mirror, and instead of seeing his own reflection, he's going to see a monster. He's going to think to himself, I'm a rapist. I benefit from patriarchy. I'm a wife beater. None of my accomplishments are my own. I have an easy life. All these poor women, they have it so hard because of me. I'm terrible. I'm a monster. And then you look at the fact that, men are treated as completely disposable in our society, which is a subject I can make a whole video about, by itself. Like the fact that, men make up 75% of the homeless population, like 70% of suicides. I think it's even more than that, actually. It's like nobody has any sympathy for men, and that's another thing, the fact that men don't like showing their feelings is because they're afraid of being seen as weakness, because they grow up, being conditioned to expect, they can't expect sympathy. They've been conditioned to not expect sympathy. Unlike you, if you're a woman, if you grew up as a girl, people, nobody ever said, "Oh, girls, you're not supposed to cry. You're not." You're so used to getting sympathy if you're a girl that you feel entitled to it. If you're a boy, it's the exact opposite. You expect not to get sympathy at all, so you try to hide your feelings because you're disposable. Society doesn't care about you, and the statistics prove that. If you end up homeless, it's because you're a bum. You didn't work hard enough. It's not because of factors that are outside your control. It's because you're worthless. You are a worthless piece of shit, and you don't deserve sympathy. You are disposable. So on top of seeing yourself as a monster, or being told that you should see yourself as a monster, and realizing that you're disposable, it becomes apparent that society does not appreciate you if you're a boy or a man. So is it any wonder that we have so many incels and neets and basement dwellers and people who just withdraw from society? When society demonstrates at every possible turn that it does not, appreciate you, of course you're going to withdraw from society. That's why we're wondering why is the high school dropout rate for boys increasing year after year? Why are fewer and fewer boys going to college? Why are more and more men, living with their parents and not going to college, not getting jobs? It's because society doesn't appreciate you, or you feel like society doesn't appreciate you because you're getting all these mixed messages about what masculinity is supposed to be. You're constantly being told that you're a monster and that, if anything bad happens to you, you're not, nobody's going to help you. How is that privilege? When you're constantly being told that you're a monster and that you're undeserving of sympathy and that you're responsible for all the evils in the world. Women don't go through that. But we're privileged? And on the subject of appreciation, have you ever had a older man in your family, like your grandpa, for example, and as he started to get, really old and infirm, and he couldn't live by himself anymore, he continued to refuse to use a wheelchair, or he would refuse to go to the hospital and stuff like that? It's not because he has some stubborn pride. It's because he can't stand the idea of being a burden to other people. Men want to feel useful. Men want to feel needed. We base our self-value entirely on whether or not other people need us. We base our self-value on our usefulness. And a part of this might be because of the media we grow up with, all of our heroes being big, strong guys, fight and protect, stuff like that. But part of it must also be ingrained in us biologically, hardwired into our brains by our evolutionary psychology. Because if you look back to caveman times, men were the ones doing all the fighting and hunting and stuff. So it's basically hardwired into us that we need to feel useful. So, but then we're currently living in this society which is constantly telling us that it doesn't appreciate us. It doesn't need us. We're always being told oh, girl power. Women are so, strong and independent now. We don't need no men. And, oh, you men are so toxic. And, you don't do enough. You're evil. All these problems are caused by you because you men are just so terrible. What's a boy gonna grow up thinking? He has no idea what society's expecting from him. He doesn't know what masculinity is supposed to be. He doesn't know what it means to be a man. Because he's getting all these conflicting messages. He's going to be thinking to himself, well, I'd like to have a girlfriend or a wife someday. I'd like to start a family. But what can I offer to a woman? I don't have any money. I don't have any, resources. That's what women want. If I don't have that stuff, what's to stop her from just dumping me for another man who does have those things? Because evidently my affection isn't good enough. It's not enough for me to love someone. I have to be their provider and protector. That's what they're going to be thinking. So when they grow up thinking that, constantly having society beat down on them, telling they're evil and useless, and they start to see themselves that way, how they're not going to have the confidence to go out and, pursue a long-term relationship and start a family. It almost becomes like a vicious cycle. They don't have the wealth and resources necessary to have the confidence to, get a girlfriend or a wife. And the fact that they don't have a girlfriend or a wife contributes to them, not having the motivation to, improve themselves so that they will have the wealth and resources to attract a woman. Because, it compounds on their feelings of worthlessness when they realize they're alone. They start seeing themselves as, undeserving of love. undeserving of affection because they're just, worthless boys who are dirty and only know how to destroy. They don't deserve to be loved, so they see themselves that way, and they don't have the confidence to pursue their dreams and become, wealthy and successful enough to, find love and affection. So you have, a whole generation of men who are just wallowing in loneliness. It's like I said, like, is it any wonder we have so many incels and neets and stuff? It's because they feel like society doesn't appreciate them. And yet we're expected to believe that we're the privileged ones. It makes no sense. Anyway, comment, rate, subscribe, support me on Patreon.